my darling friends, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to see you all. I hope this finds you all well and happy and that you have had a good week. I'm looking forward to spending some time together today. We are going to be working on some floral arranging. This is something y'all have been asking me to do, and so I'm looking forward to doing this together and just kind of sharing a little bit of my tips and tricks with y'all. I really enjoy floral arranging. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I don't know what it is about playing with greenery and florals that just brings me a lot of joy, but it does. And I really enjoy putting things together and starting with just a whole bunch of different stems, piling them in a vase or a basket, and just see what emerges from the creativity. So I am looking forward to doing this with y'all today, but I do just want to say I am not a professional florist. I've never had any professional florist training. I just like to have fun, get creative, and do what feels right for me. So I hope that y'all can find some inspiration in this today and that you enjoy walking through some of my process with me. Our first arrangement today is just going to be a fun, playful, whimsical piece, and I'm going to be using this cute little wooden bucket that I found at Michael's. I found it last year at the end of the season, so it was on clearance, but I'm pretty sure that you could find them again this year. I do believe that I actually saw some recently. All right, so we will also be using some fun greenery picks. I'm using some of this boxwood. I do get these boxwood picks at Walmart. These are really inexpensive. You get a whole bundle for they're less than $2, maybe like $1.50 or something like that. But I'm going to start the base of this flower arrangement with some greenery. I do tend to do this a lot just because I like a little bit of extra greenery in my pieces. And when I start placing the greenery picks, I have one little, I don't want to say rule because I just really want us to have fun here, but I have one little rule that I like to follow. So I start by placing my greenery picks at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So especially because this is a round piece, so this works really well. And then I will kind of come in and start just filling this in with all of our floral stems. And I am using floral foam too, by the way, with this particular piece. And so I'm just going to kind of start placing my floral pieces at that same, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock system. But then I will sort of come in and also add maybe one at the 1 o'clock and one at the 2 o'clock and so forth. So I think you kind of get it. And then after I do that part, I will start filling in all the middle sections to just give this piece a lot of extra fluff and just make it really full, because I really do like a lot of my greenery pieces and floral arrangements. I like to keep them real full, but simple at the same time, if that makes sense. So let's add a couple of different flowers to this piece just to give it a little extra whimsy. And I did decide to take all the leaves off of this one because I just felt like the leaves were a little too much with all of our extra greenery pieces that we had. And I did cut the stems on these ones just a little bit too short, so I kind of had to just use my greenery to hold them up a little bit. They didn't really stick in the floral foam. So just be mindful of that when you're cutting your stems, not to cut them too short. point, I'm feeling really good about how this piece is looking. I did decide to add just a couple of extra longer pieces around the perimeter to just give this a little bit of, danglies that kind of hang off the edge a little bit and just give it that little wispy flair. So, but for the most part, I like how it turns out, and I just do kind of come back in and just fiddle with all the pieces, lift them up a little bit if there needs to be some height, and just kind of fluff things and bend flowers if they need to be bent a little bit. But overall, I really like how this piece turns out. I think it's just kind of fun and whimsical. This particular piece is going to be so simple. You guys are not going to believe how simple this is. We are going to be using some faux wheat stalks and this cute country farmhouse pitcher. I found this, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. I'm not really sure where where I found it. I've actually had it for a while. So my best tip for when using pitchers like this is to use lots of stems. So because you saw where I just put the one stem in there and it just wasn't full enough. It looked very sparse and kind of empty. But the more stems that we add to this, the fuller it gets and the more complete and finished it gets. Also, another little tidbit that I do here is I crisscross my stems as I'm placing them into the pitcher because it kind of helps hold them all into place. So I do play with this a little bit. And another little thing that I like to do is bend some of the wheat stalks over the spout of the pitcher to just give it that complete whimsical look. I love the simplicity of this piece. I think it turned out just so pretty for something so simple. Do y'all remember this vase that we did at the beginning of the summer season? This was one of our trash to treasure videos, and I love the color of this one. I think it's going to work perfectly with my fall decor. So here's one of my favorite little tricks that I use. Working with a vase like this, it's very deep. It's a deep vase. So to elevate this and add height so that I'm not filling it up with a bunch of paper or whatnot, I just use a paper cup, poke some holes in it, and that's what's going to hold all of our base greenery into place. And these particular greenery picks, I found them at Hobby Lobby. In fact, I think all the pieces from this particular floral arrangement came from Hobby Lobby. So for the base on this, I only needed 2 stalks because it is really full, and I like how it's really wispy and everything just kind of hangs down and it's just loose and whimsical. So to fill this in, now you can almost just leave this with just the greenery and it would be lovely exactly like that. But I want to just take it to I want to take it a little higher, I want to add just a little bit more, take it to that next level. That's what I was trying to say. By just adding in some very earthy, natural greenery stems and picks. So I found these at Hobby Lobby. I love these little orbs. I'm not sure what type of flower. I think this is supposed to mimic a dried hydrangea, which I really love how these turned out. So when I place these, I do use the shorter ones on the perimeter because they're going to kind of dangle and hang over. So I tend to use the shorter ones on the perimeter in that same 12, 3, 6, and 9 pattern. And then I come in and fill the center with the taller pieces. I also decided to add some really tall pieces to the center of this just to bring in a lot of height and elevate this piece a little bit. I feel like it just kind of pulled it together. So I had these really neat, I think they're supposed to resemble like a popped seed pod of some sort, like maybe a wheat that's been a wheat stalk or something that's been popped open. I'm not exactly sure what these are supposed to mimic, but I loved the way they looked, and they made a perfect centerpiece for this floral arrangement. Now that we have all of our stems arranged in here, I can just kind of play with it and fluff it up a little bit and just kind of bend things to get them to look to look the way I want them to look. And all in all, I think this piece turned out absolutely stunning. I really love the color palette here. Let's have some fun with this vessel. So this is just a wood crate that Michael built for me last year, and we just put some hairpin legs on it to give it a little elevation. And I really love this. I just love the rustic look of this particular vessel, and it works wonderful with fall decor. So we're going to be using a lot of picks and stems in this one because I want this one to really just speak fall vibes. So I'm going to start out by adding a base of eucalyptus stems to the bottom of this. And again, I'm going to follow that same similar rule. I kind of did a little cheating here, but normally I would do my 2 end pieces, which would be like 9 and 3, and then I stuck a stem at 12 and then a stem at 6, and then I just start filling in the whole base of this. And when I'm inserting these particular picks into it, I do not stick them in the very top of my floral foam. I kind of poke them in the very bottom because I want these to just really create like a base layer in our little crate here. And don't be afraid to cut your picks and stems either, y'all. You don't have to just try to use like a whole one. You know how they come like on that with that big bulky piece at the bottom? Don't be afraid to cut them away from that because you actually get a lot more use out of them. It makes them more versatile, and I think they actually go further when you do it that way. So this eucalyptus is just one stem, and you can see by cutting all the pieces away from this that I got a lot out of it. It just really created a nice base layer for the starting of our little floral arrangement here. One thing I also like to do is really mix up my greenery picks and floral stems. So I really personally don't think it matters what kind of flowers you use. I think you can mix them all together as long as you keep everything in the same color palette. So you could use any type of flower, any type of greenery stem, anything goes here. I just think the most important part is to keep everything in the same color palette because then it all pulls it together and makes it look very cohesive. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and layer in some fall leaves because you can't have a fall floral piece without the fall leaves. And I'm just using some of these oak branches that I cut away from a big tall pick that I've had for a while, so I'm not really sure where I got this one. Most likely it came from Hobby Lobby because I do tend to buy most of my florals from either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. So I'm just going to follow that same little rule that I have for myself by placing these at, the 12, 6, 9, 3, and then kind of coming in and filling in all around the edges. To start filling in our center on this, I'm going to just come in with some of these little miniature eucalyptus stems. These at the end, they don't really show very much in the overall scheme of things, but they make a really nice filler. So I just kind of come in and add these again at that same little thing. I just sort of tend to keep working around the perimeter, and then I work from the outside in. That's especially when you're working with a long flat piece like this, it's really kind of important to work from the outside in and make sure that you're getting that perimeter filled up adequately. So to go ahead and add some heights to this, I really like to add tall like whimsy pieces to this, or flouncy pieces, however you want to call it, to any floral arrangement. So to add some heights to this, I'm just going to come in with some of these wheat stalks and just kind of place them all around the perimeter. And I try not to keep them, I don't want them in the center, because we're going to fill the center with the rest of these picks. And then I'm going to come in with some great big giant flowers to finish this off. Now that we have all of our base flowers in, the center is completely covered, we can't see the floral foam anymore, we can start adding in some great big giant sunflowers. And this is just kind of bring the piece together, pull it together, give it that finishing touch, and then I'll come in and just kind of fluff things, bend things if they need to be bent, rearrange. And overall, I really love how this piece turned out, y'all. It's probably my favorite so far anyway. So I don't know, as we keep building on these, I might pick a new favorite, but right now I'm really loving this one as my number one fave. For this piece, I wanted to show y'all how you could take a great big basket and quickly and easily fill it up and make it look really full. So this is actually a fairly large basket. It's a planter. It's like a freestanding planter that has legs. And we're going to fill this up, and we're going to do it so quickly. So what we're going to do is start with this great big greenery piece to be our base. And this greenery piece is going to act similar to like floral foam for us. It's going to be where, we can stick all of our picks and stuff in, and the greenery piece will hold them all together. So I did put this in the center because this basket is sort of see-through, and so I wanted to try to hide as much stem as I possibly could, and then the greenery will hide the stems from all of our floral pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some big flowers to this, and I do use a lot of jumbo flowers on this one because I think when you're working with a big vessel like this, the bigger the flower, the better. So I just keep following that same little pattern of placing things at 12, 6, 9, and 3, and then come in and just start filling in the rest of the perimeter. And on this one, I do keep the shorter flowers sort of more towards the center, and then our really wispy pieces I do place like on the outside perimeter, but I also place quite a few of them in the center. So just keep filling it up until it looks full and you've kind of covered up. So the objective here is to kind of cover up most of that greenery base. And like I said, that greenery base is going to be what hides all of our stems inside this basket. I love how easy this piece was and how elegant and beautiful it turns out. Y'all will have to let me know what you think of this in the end. particular set, I wanted to keep it on the playful, whimsical side of things. So we're going to be using a bunch of greenery here, and we're also going to be using some of these really pretty, earthy, natural colored stems. And I really love these ones. I found these ones, they kind of resemble dried flowers. They're not, they are faux, but they do look like a dried flower. And then we'll use these natural colored terracotta pots. So I start by placing a small piece of floral foam in the bottom, and then I'm just going to follow that same exact pattern that we have followed throughout all of our floral arrangements so far. So I'm just going to start by placing a base layer of the greenery by adding 12, 6, 9, and 3. And then I will come in and start filling in all around the perimeter of this until it looks really nice and full and you can no longer see the floral foam. So I think that y'all can kind of see and get a feel for by just following that one simple rule of creating, first of all, lots of layers. So I guess we have, there's not really rules because I'm trying to avoid the word rule here because I really just want y'all to have fun with this and just let your creativity flow and just enjoy the whole process. But I do feel like if you just follow those simple basic steps of working in layers, starting with your perimeter from the outside in, you can just see how things pull together and how much easier it makes doing floral arrangements. I really think by following these simple little steps, it does help me just pull a piece together and make it look very cohesive and professional looking, I guess you could say. So please just have fun with this process. And just remember too that you can use any stems, any picks, any florals. I just think it's important to keep your color palette all kind of within that same color tones and same color palette. I also wanted to show y'all that this piece could be done exactly the way it is right now just by adding two different types of greenery, but they're in that same color tone. It looks so pretty just the way it is. But because I kind of want to add a little fall flair to this, we're going to go ahead and add in all these fun, wispy, whimsical little stems that look, they very much look like a dried flower. And I do think I got these at Hobby Lobby. They might have been a little more expensive than some of their normal picks, but they are lovely. And I love how this piece pulls together. I just had so much fun playing with this one. And, when I was working with this one, I would place some pieces and then take them out and then kind of start over. So if that happens to you, don't be discouraged. Just keep playing because that happens all the time. You put things together and then you're like, oh, I'm not sure I like that. But it's so easy to just pull it out and place it in a different position. So I did try to follow my little pattern by putting the real wispy pieces on the outside perimeters and then coming in with the center and putting in my taller, bigger flowers. I think these two pieces did come out so cute. They are just so fun and so playful. What do y'all think of these ones? For this vessel, we are going to keep things extremely extremely easy. We are just simply going to fill this with some greenery. I really like just the elegant look of this vessel. It's just kind of sweet and simple. But because it is kind of short but has a wide opening on it, we are going to use 3 stalks to fill this up because 1 is just not going to be enough. It's not going to fill it up. And so I used 3 of these, and then I use my little crisscrossing method there, so you can see how I kind of crisscross the stems across one another. That kind of helps hold them into place and keeps them securely held into place. And then to finish this off, we are simply just going to add this really tall, wispy green stalk to the very center of it. And then I kind of just fluff and floof a little bit until I get it, looking exactly the way I want it. And just like that, this piece is completely finished. And y'all, it is so simple, but I really kind of like the fun playfulness of it. It just kind of reminds me of something wild that you would find in nature, because it does definitely have a very wild look to it, but I like the results. What do y'all think? I had so much fun putting all of our floral arrangements together today. These turned out great. I feel like I like all of them. They all have a little bit of a different style and a little different flair to them, but they all came out so pretty, and I know I'm going to enjoy them coming into our fall season. I really hope that I have somehow inspired y'all just a little bit today to get out all your greenery and just play and have fun and just create, and don't worry about doing it right or wrong. Just have fun with it. Because after all, having fun with our projects is what it is all about. So that's what I want you to do, is just get out there and have fun. Alrighty, my dear friends, I think that is going to wrap up today's episode. I really enjoyed spending time with y'all today. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking time out of your day to come and hang with me. That just means so much to me. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye. Okay, yeah, doing good here. Off to a great start. Tips and tidbits really into today. That's kind of cheesy. What is it now? Gosh darn it. Okay.